Hey guys, it's Harley. Welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to tell you about some of the things I'm no longer doing as a plant lover, a plant keeper, collector, enthusiast. Yeah, I've been keeping plants for well over 6 years now. I got my first cutting from my grandma. It's actually in the background here. Okay, it looks really sad. There's a lot of like dead leaves, but that's from the repot. I just haven't cleaned it up since then yet. This plant did start just as a couple of tiny little cuttings. I will throw up a photo of what the cuttings looked like in the beginning. It's kind of crazy how far this plant has come. From the first root this plant put out when I had it water propagating, I knew plants were it for me. Being outdoors is really, really important to me, which is why I think plants really sparked something within me. A year or two into my plant keeping, I did start my YouTube channel. I started my channel because as I was getting new plants and trying to figure them out, I would come to YouTube to try and find the information, but there weren't a whole lot of planty creators. And what there was a little bit, like, I don't want to say boring. There just wasn't a whole lot of content out there that was entertaining, but also informative, which is what I hope my channel has been. I mean, I don't know, that's what I've been aiming for all these years. So with that being said, I've had to make changes to my plant keeping. I've been working on it, and I do think I'm at a point where I feel my plant collection is a lot more like sustainable for me, monetarily and also time-wise. I'm getting a lot more enjoyment out of it, and I feel a lot more mindful in all of my plant keeping decisions. So at the end of the day, I feel like I'm in a really good spot with my plants, and I know a lot of you have been in the same place I have where it feels unmanageable. So that's why I thought I'd share some things I'm no longer doing. I hope it's helpful. The number one thing I'm no longer doing is buying more plants and products. I know. Like I said before, I wanted a plant on every freaking surface of every inch of my house. I wanted to be in a jungle. The old habit I'm ditching is constantly purchasing new plants and plant products. It really hit something within me to bring home a new plant, bring home a new planter, bring home all these gimmicky little plant products that I didn't really need in my plant keeping. If I'm being honest, I was trying to fill a void within myself. That is something I'm no longer doing. My current approach is to focus on what I already have and trying to make what I already have the best it can be. Doing it this way keeps me just busy enough that I'm not really interested in introducing new plants to my collection because I need to take a little more time to find the perfect planter or figure out the perfect substrate for any said plant. Another way I'm trying to be more mindful is of my consumption. You know, I do have a little bit of a gripe towards short form content, especially the way it's going lately, you know, with like TikTok shop and Instagram shop, the shorts and reels and all of these different things. I think it makes it so easy for people to grab their audience's attention with their little gimmicky things. I'm always seeing that little green guy that holds like plant cuttings in your propagation containers, and yeah, it's cute, it's fun, it grabs my attention, but I don't need that. Like, being honest with myself, I don't need that. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't really need any of this, but I'm just at a point where I'm not trying to spend every dime I make on dumb little things like that. With the short form content, we're constantly getting products thrown at us, which I think is really detrimental in a lot of different ways. Like, want to pop in and say the same can be said for long form content. I just think with the short form, we're getting something recommended to us every like 7 or 20 or 30 seconds. So it's just a lot faster paced. Just thought I should clarify, but I am definitely a short form content hater. $10 here, $10 there, $10 here, it adds up. Same with plant products. There are so many plant foods, pest management things on the market. I wanted to try them all out and see like what was best. But now I've found my 3, 4, 5 products that I know I always want to have on hand because they seem to handle any issue I come across with my plants. So I'm not really trying out new products. Like, why try out new products if I know that what I'm using works and has worked these last 6+ years? So that's where I'm at. I just like got so tired of my own overconsumption. I had to let go of it, and it feels so good. So good. Which brings me to point number 2. I used to propagate every possible node My love for plants started because of the root growth on one of my propagations. Of course, I got really hooked and sucked into the propagation side of things, which was really fun, don't get me wrong, but it also got out of control really, really quickly, especially with the amount of plants I previously had. I'm not kidding you. There was a point where I had over 1,000 just propagations, like not even counting the plants in my collection. I had over 1,000 propagations going. That is too much for one person to be caring for, especially someone who has 2 kids. What was I thinking? Not only were my propagations dying left and right and stressing me out because there were just too many, my own plants themselves were not doing well because I was cutting them so often, and cutting a plant too much can stress out the plant, but also I wasn't caring for them very well because I didn't really like the way they looked. They were all cut and awkward and like just not good looking because there was like no growth on them. It made me not like them, and then therefore I was not wanting to care for them. So everything just kind of went downhill. Now, my current approach is I only really propagate when it's necessary or beneficial for my plant's health. Yeah, I'm still taking cuttings. I still have propagations growing in my grow tent, which I just did a video on here if you're interested. I'll link it down below if you want something to watch after this, but I'm not cutting my plants near as often. And I do know a lot of my plants still are pretty small looking for how long I've had them, but it is because I was just cutting them back so much. Things are growing back. They're looking much better, much happier, and it makes me happier overall, which is the point. Point number 3 is frequent plant relocation. My old habit, I was constantly moving my plants from here to there, everywhere to try and find the perfect spot for them, but I never really found it. My plants were just kind of, all of them were really kind of floaters around the whole place. Plants, you know, they grow naturally, putting roots down into the earth, and they're there their whole lives. So moving plants around like that, I started noticing was making my plants really stressed out, which brings me to my current or new approach. Yes, I do still move plants around, but I give them a lot more time between moves to really settle in, really acclimate, and that way I can see if the plant is actually doing well in that environment or if I need to try somewhere else. Really, I guess at the end of the day, my method is I'll move a plant to a new spot, leave it there until it puts out like 2 or 3 new leaves. And from that point, I can decide if the plant is doing well in that spot or not, and if maybe I need to try somewhere else, which has been really good. Everything's looking a lot better. Okay, I can never really get rid of my urge to like redecorate and relocate my plants, but I at least now keep my plants in a general vicinity. So like this plant shelf here, it's been here for about a month. I have moved a whole bunch of plants here, but I every few days do come down here and kind of like move things around a little bit, but they are in the general vicinity, getting really the same amount of light in this spot, so it's not as stressful to them. My point here is I keep plants in the same general vicinity unless they're showing signs that they need to go. And then I'll move them across the house or wherever. I no longer cover every surface of my house in plants. We kind of talked about this earlier, but really like every surface of my house was coated. It comes back to the fact that we talked about in the beginning where I wanted my house to feel like a jungle. I wanted to see a plant from every direction I looked. The old habit of trying to fill every surface kind of urged me to constantly be buying new plants to fill in any tiny little gaps I could see where, hey, a planter can fit here, let's go buy a new plant. And then it would end up being like 3 or 4 new plants to make shipping worth it. It was a slippery slope, okay? But my current approach is really, honestly, it's a constant fight within myself that I need to find balance and also have space to live my life and my family to live their life. So I think especially with my kids, it is getting a little bit easier to not coat every surface because there are a lot of surfaces I can't keep plants because it's just a little bit dangerous with 2 little toddler guys running around. We've had a few mishaps with plants, so I do just try to be more mindful of that and keep open spaces. My plants are also healthier and happier for this because pests don't spread as easily if your plants aren't touching. I'm also more able to care for my plants because I can see every plant. Like before, this shelf as an example, I would be like, oh, there's space behind this Hoya Mathilde for another plant, and I would buy another plant, throw it back there, and then forget it even existed because I couldn't see the plant unless I looked from a very specific angle, you know? And that was the case for like pretty much every surface of my house. I guess like really what it comes down to is I try and position my plants in a way that whatever area I'm looking in, I have direct visual contact with each of my plants. I can see like each of my plants almost to its entirety. I keep a lot of space between them, and it makes it easier to see issues. It makes it easier to keep things clean and tidy, which is just a lot more conducive for plant health. It really is. The next thing I'm no longer doing is relying solely on natural light. This old habit of relying only on window light worked in the last house I lived in, and also when I had this plant room upstairs in my son's now bedroom. The plants in there got plenty of light, but when my kid moved into there, I had to move my plants down to the basement and they just don't get enough natural light. My plants did kind of deteriorate. Like this house just is not very well lit. It was kind of hard for me to like buckle down and actually decide to invest in some grow lights. I fortunately was also able to get some sponsored, but my new approach is to use these grow lights. So even in this room here, I have the Soltech Highland track light system. I've put grow bulbs into different light fixtures around the house. I have strip lights in my grow tent and also my Kia shelf upstairs, my terrariums. There are a lot of really great grow lights on the market, and this is a benefit of stopping my consumption of the unnecessary plant products and new plants, but I do have a little bit more money to splurge on things like grow lights, or even, I'm just gonna throw it in here, it doesn't really fit in this category, but even plants that I really, really like. I do still buy plants. I think I've bought like 4 new plants this year. They are plants that mean a lot to me, like my 8-foot Dracaena. I love that thing. It was a splurge, but it was okay because I'm not constantly buying new crap all the time. Same with the grow lights. I can splurge on some grow lights because I'm not buying as much overall. I have a little bit more money in the bankroll. I'm also no longer keeping plants for social reasons, which you guys will have to let me know if this is an issue you faced. Or if this is kind of I'm a planty community content creator type issue, but my old habit was holding on or even buying new plants for the social aspects. I was buying so many plants because I thought I can make some content about this plant. I need to have it in my collection so that if I need to make some content about it, I can do it. Or also like in the case of, I don't know, there are some plants I can think of that I've seen really beautiful specimens online and thought I need to have that plant. I need to have that plant to post an equally beautiful photo, but like we talked about in all of the points I've previously discussed, my plants didn't even look good, so I never wanted to post about them. It was like, I don't know, it just didn't work. It did the opposite of what I wanted. I was doing that, and now my current approach, prioritize plants that are genuinely bringing me joy and are manageable to me. For example, anthuriums and alocasia, where I do still have a few of these in my collection. In fact, there's one right here, which we are trying to figure each other out, but these are plants that I was wanting to buy because I always saw them be so beautiful on people's social medias, and I wanted to experience that beauty in my real life as well. But I never really have gotten to experience that beauty because these plants have always struggled with me. I don't know if it's an environmental issue or if it's a me issue, but we just can't figure each other out. So now I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna buy these plants anymore because I know they don't make me happy, they don't make me feel good, they don't do well. I mean, it's not them. Like, I'm not blaming the plant, it's definitely probably me. But they don't do well, we don't mesh well, so I'm no longer buying them. I know, I've come a long way. With this realization, I have started to downsize my collection and really focus in one-on-one to each of my plants, having a heart-to-heart with them, trying to really analyze how I truly feel about them, outside factors aside. If I am having a heart-to-heart with one of my plants and I realize that this plant doesn't feel good to me or make me feel good, then I'm going to get rid of it. No questions asked, no shame involved, no guilt involved. I know like it's really hard to not feel guilty getting rid of our plants, but like it's fine, it happens. If your plant is really, really sad, throw it in the garbage. I just realized that I needed to let go of that negativity in my life. I feel so much lighter. I'm enjoying my collection so much more now. It just has made a huge difference. And having these heart-to-hearts with my plants has made me learn a lot about my own preferences and what works, what doesn't work. So when I'm maybe tempted to buy a new plant, it quickly pops in my mind, like, you know, you just got rid of all these plants for this reason, this reason, this reason. It seems like this plant might fit in with those reasons. Like we maybe don't mesh well or whatever it may be. And it helps, it really, really helps. Those are all of my points. I'm sure I've left out some things I wanted to say. I know every single time I'm editing, I'm like, oh, I wish I had said this. So kind of frustrating. To summarize all of my points, things I'm no longer doing are buying more plants and products, propagating every possible node, constantly moving my plants around, covering every surface with plants, relying solely on natural lighting, and keeping any plants for social reasons. Moving on from these poor old habits I clung onto for years really leaves me feeling so much more lightweight. It's opened up a lot of time in my day for other hobbies. Yes, I will always love plants. I will always love plants, but I also realized I loved and kind of missed a lot of other things that I didn't have time for because I was constantly caring for my plants. Since downsizing my collection and figuring things out around here and around here, I know I love rock climbing, I'm running again, playing soccer again, hiking a lot more, like just generally being outside a lot more, which is what I really craved and wanted out of this, you know, plant keeping business thing that I've been doing all these years. So I don't know, I just felt a lot more fulfilled and like well-rounded and capable. I did not feel capable for a long time, and it's because I wasn't. I just had too much in my life, too many plants in my life to take care of. And that's that. I really hope that you guys are in a good place with your collections. If you're not, like, keep working at it. I know you can get there. It is a little bit difficult at times to, you know, figure out where maybe our inadequacies lie or where we need to make changes, but it is so worth it. Coming from someone on the other end, it's worth it, I promise. So keep at it. You can do it. And if you're somewhere that you already feel happy with your collection, like hell yeah. Hell yeah. I'm proud of you. I wish that I had been in that place all these years, honestly. So please, I would love to hear what your experiences are, where you're currently at, or maybe some of your old habits that you're no longer doing anymore that you realized was maybe bringing you stress or disharmony to your plant love connection. As always, please thumbs up this video, leave those comments, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content. We are primarily plant content based over here, but I dabble in other areas as well. So I hope to have you along for the ride. It's a ride. I am also on Instagram at Harli_G_. The link is always down in my description box if you want to see what we have going on over there. I share a lot more like day-to-day stuff over there, so feel free to follow along if you would like to. And thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you got something out of it. Oh, I really hope you got something out of it. Sometimes I post videos and I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Nobody cares about this. But I just got to do it anyway. Ugh. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!